We are honored also to have Dr. Danture from University of Glasgow in United Kingdom. He has joined Glasgow after 19 years of research and teaching at the University of Manchester. And he was also the director of the Center for Accounting and Accountability Research in the University of Hull. And today, his speech is called Knowledge Production and Social Engagement, Making Management Research Pragmatic.
Welcome to this 5th international conference of this kind. As you see here in the picture, I am from this very old university, University of Glasgow, which was founded in 1451. Yeah? You were not born. This is the place where Adam Smith, father of economics, worked. I don't know who the mother was. I'm the professor of management accounting there. But at the moment I'm based in Sri Lanka, where I was born in, spending my sabbatical leave doing field work in Sri Lanka. What I am doing there is that I am engaging with the World Bank office in Colombo and also with some of ministries responsible for local developments in the country. As you know, World Bank provides money with these developing countries for their various kinds of developments. One of the things recently World Bank has started was that they provided money to the war-torn area in Sri Lanka to develop infrastructures. But World Bank has a problem about the use of this money. World Bank has the concern whether this money will be used very honestly, with transparency, providing better accountability. Therefore, World Bank Colombo office has introduced a new interesting concept that is called social auditing. Social auditing is part of participative development program in the country. What is happening there is World Bank has initiated local societies in villages, and these societies elect some members called social auditors, village volunteers. Social auditors' role is to physically look at infrastructure developments done by private contractors. There are 5 people audit committees, social audit committees. They are always there observing what these private contractors are doing in road developments, building of bridges, schools, etc., etc. They have their original plans. They observe whether right materials are being used, whether the right money is used entirely, whether corruption or something is going on, etc., etc. When there are differences, discrepancies happening, social audit committees report to the local authorities and they discuss about such malpractices. Therefore now World Bank money is better used because of the engagement of social auditors. I am there speaking to social auditors. I am there speaking to local government authorities. I am there meeting with ministries and government agencies as well as World Bank consultants. And that particular way of studying what is happening in that country is social engagement while I am producing some knowledge. I thought of talking about this today with you. Knowledge production. My friend Gabriel has also talked about knowledge. I also have something to tell you about knowledge today. Therefore, I have 3 questions to address here, as you see here. What is knowledge production? And what is a case study in there? And how can we engage in society in knowledge production? Can you try to pronounce this name? Bent Flyberg, a Danish academic. He followed Aristotle, philosopher Aristotle. You all know about Aristotle. Flyberg is now talking about a complete version of knowledge. In that complete version of knowledge, there are 3 characters. 1, technique. 2nd, episteme. 3rd, phronesis. Technique, episteme, phronesis. When we acknowledge, when we acquire knowledge, we start with some techniques. Being an accounting professor, I know we start doing calculations, double entry bookkeeping, cost estimation, or in management, we study the procedures of bureaucracy, we study the procedures of governance, we study the practices of management, etc., etc. That is all technique. We start acquiring knowledge by studying techniques, procedures, practices, systems, methods, techniques. There we ask an important question: how to do things? Know-how questions. How to do things better. That is the aspect of technique. The second thing is, when we do something technically, we have another important question. Why are we doing that? For example, in companies, people are now doing corporate governance. Question is, why are we doing that? And an answer would be that everywhere corporate governance can be seen. Corporate governance is globally popular. Therefore, we must also follow that. That is an answer. in theory, that is called, we do corporate governance for legitimacy purposes, to justify the purpose of doing corporate governance. So in this way, we are asking why question about the things we are doing. In order to answer why questions, we need a theory. A theory is a way of understanding the world. Theory is a way of explaining the world. There we ask why question, an important intellectual question. According to Freiberg, that is called episteme. The third thing is phronesis. Phronesis is, as my colleague Gabriel said, common sense. That is about engagement. Whatever the wonderful practice we have, it is not easy to implement in companies, in societies, through policy making, through practices. Why? People have concerns about them. People would react to these practices differently. Because there are different people coming from different backgrounds, different cultures, through different politics. Therefore, people's values, their cultures, their politics are also important to understand when we implement some knowledge in practice. That is called phronesis. That is a new term introduced by Freiberg to social science. In 2001, you can Google it, Bent Freiberg wrote a book entitled Making Social Science Matter. You can make social science matter only through this balanced knowledge production. In this balanced knowledge production, you need to consider not only technique and episteme, not only practices and theories, but also phronesis. That is about engagement with people. That is about engagement with people's values, their power relations, their politics. When we do research for publishing in top-ranked journals, as you do now, we need to consider these three aspects together. That is what now I am trying to do on my sabbatical, during my sabbatical leave in Sri Lanka, about the issues of social auditing. For that, I am doing a case study, social auditing case study. I am one of critical researchers in the UK. All we do case studies, qualitative case studies. At the moment, I have 6 PhD students back in Glasgow. You can also come to Glasgow. If you have developed a nice research proposal, we give scholarships, speak to me. That's a good opportunity for you to actually speak to me during this conference. But you have to speak to me if you are prepared to do a single organization, a case study. You may study one single organization over a period of 3 to 4 years. That is a qualitative case study. Management, accounting, marketing, human resources management, whatever you do, are all social sciences. Its subject matter, social science subject matter, is about the issues of human social life. In accounting, we are concerned about how people are involved in the practices of accounting, in the practices of controls, in the practices of governance, in the practices of accountability. We are focusing on humans' social life. Management is also such a social science. Typically, in qualitative case studies, we ask 3 interrelated research questions. For example, with regard to my social auditing project, I ask, how does social auditing work in the context of Sri Lanka, or in the context of Sri Lanka's local government authorities? How things work in a particular city? That is one important research question. Secondly, we ask a theoretical question. As you see here, why such things happen? Suppose that social auditing in Sri Lanka is subject to their politics, cultures, power struggles, conflicts, group dynamics, psychological ramifications, etc. Why such things happen? That's a theoretical question. That needs a theory to explain why such things happen. Therefore, in qualitative case studies, we need to ask not only how questions, but also why questions, for us to understand the world, for us to explain what is going on. To answer such why questions, we need a theory drawn from another discipline, because management has no theory. Accounting has no theory. There can be theories for management. There can be theories for accounting. But there are no theories of management. There are no theories of accounting. We have to find theories for these things. Therefore, we need to borrow a theory from broad social sciences. We as critical researchers normally borrow theories from broad social sciences, namely sociology, anthropology, history, political theory, industrial psychology, etc. Therefore, in a way, we are sociologists in management accounting. We are anthropologists in management accounting. Therefore, we have a number of theories to think about. But in the end, we have to choose one. Therefore, we have a third question as you hear. There is a third question as you see here. Can that theory explain that? Can institutional work perspective explain that? Can institutional rhetorics explain that? Can actor network theory explain that? Can critical realism explain that? Can structuration theory explain that? That is a debatable academic question. So if you are doing qualitative case studies to address these three interrelated questions, that is a way of producing knowledge. But in order to produce that knowledge, we have to engage with people. Now we have a question here. When we do a case study for your PhD, for your research paper to be published in an internationally well-known journal, by doing one single case study, can we generalize? That is a general question you may have. Because scientific researchers, quantitative researchers, are always concerned with statistical generalizations through logic of sampling. Critical researchers like us disregard this question. We don't consider that social science issues can be generalized. Why? Things are different from setting to setting, from company to company, from cultures to cultures. Therefore, generalization is a mistake. It is an epistemological mistake. Epistemology, science of knowing, way of obtaining knowledge. If you are trying to obtain knowledge through a process of generalization, as critical researchers we say, that is an epistemological mistake. Therefore, our aim is not to generalize. Instead, we try to understand the social world in relation to how things work differently in a particular organization, in a particular setting. For that, we explore lots of details through interviews, through observations, through documentary reviews, etc., etc. Spending months and months. For example, recently one of my PhD students who won Glasgow scholarship, she's a Sri Lankan, so I had my influence in the selection. She studied Sri Lankan tea plantations, tea plucking women's daily lives. She spent 6 months continuously in that tea plantation division in Sri Lanka. She collected lots of details through ethnographic-like, anthropological-like observations. She did lots of interviews with people. She observed lots of documents. That's a case study. She studied how things happen in a different setting. And nowadays she is reading a theory, a post-colonial feminist sociological perspective. A post-colonial feminist perspective. To explain why things happen differently. That is a case study. That setting, that tea plantation is the case study. There we concentrate on 3 things in a case study. For example, my students studied the Sri Lankan context in which tea plantations developed, evolved from the 18th century. And she concentrated on an interesting issue. Issue nowadays is that tea plantations companies in Sri Lanka are struggling to retain tea plucking women on estates because they are moving out from estates looking for other job opportunities in other industries. That's an interesting issue. Therefore, these tea plucking women has a sort of power against the clutches of management control by tea plantation managers. That's an interesting issue. In there, she concentrates on values of these people, their cultural habits of these people, their organized and unorganized politics. She is concentrating on to develop this case study. Things are different, very amazing, very bizarre. These tea plucking women now are exerting their power in management. That means they are also constructing a different form of management control as opposed to tea plantation managers' management control. In order to explain these things, she used a particular feminist sociological perspective, as I mentioned. So when you conduct such a kind of case study, you engage with people. You talk about their values. You gather their ideas, emotions, expressions, gestures, etc. And the researchers engage with people on a daily basis. And they observe in documents as well. These details will become rich, which we call rich accounts in qualitative case studies. That is what all my PhD students do. I know many accounting departments in the UK. Researchers do such qualitative case studies. Previously, I was at Manchester University, one of prestigious business schools. Almost all accounting researchers there did qualitative case studies. I have two ex-Malaysian PhD students who are living now in Malaysia. They did qualitative case studies. One qualitative case study was Malaysian corporate governance. The case was Malaysia. Another student studied Malaysian telecom. She studied Malaysian telecom's balance scorecard practice. That was a case. What you need to do is that you need to find an interesting story there. Like a journalist. A journalist always look for an interesting storyline with a plot. But that story must be connected to an ongoing conversation in the literature, in the academic literature. It could be an issue of power relation. It could be an issue of value judgments of people. It could be an issue of cultural implications in management practices or whatever. Interesting issue. But when we publish academic papers in top-ranked journals, we have a question to ask. What is happening to society? What is happening to policy? What is happening to practices? Therefore, our scholarship, our academic research must be better reflected in practices as well. In the UK now, on the part of World Bank, how this social auditing project better produces governance and accountability. So World Bank people are seeking my expertise to answer that question. Can we produce better governance? Can you deliver better accountability? Upward and downward accountability through social auditing practices. So I am discussing this burning issue with local people, with World Bank people, with government agencies to produce knowledge. I collaborate, rule number 2, I collaborate with critical comments. Different people have different opinions about the production of governance and accountability through social auditing. I collaborate with these critical comments. I write down them, I record them, I discuss with them, and I give my opinions to them as well. That is rule number 2. Rule number 3, through further discussions with these people, through further engagement with these agencies and people, I try to develop common sense, consensus, something that is acceptable to everybody. That is rule number 3. Once we have done that, people may implement that particular agreed idea. For example, in social auditing, we have now actually developed a consensus about certain things that local authorities must follow. Local authorities must follow. Now they are implementing them. As a researcher, as a qualitative researcher, I examine such things longitudinally. That means I go there over and over again, spend with them months and months, making my qualitative case study a longitudinal case study, where I examine the things, effects and causes longitudinally. That is rule number 4. And rule number 5, then I write a story about what is happening there, about what people think about new power structures being developed, about new value systems being constructed, about new management, governance and accountability practices being developed. I am writing a story now with an interesting plot. For example, I am concentrating on power structures, power struggles between various people. But it is not enough. My story will be empty if I did not mobilize a theory in there. Because in the story, I am writing about what is going on? What is happening? But I have not yet answered the question about why such things happen in that way. To explain that, I need a help from a theory drawn from another discipline, maybe sociology, maybe anthropology, theories which are very fashionable now in accounting, management, etc. Variants of institutional theory. Institutional theory is very popular, and there are various developments there, like institutional rhetoric, institutional logic, institutional work, institutional entrepreneurship, etc. New developments, new conversations, new debate. I draw on these discussions published in international journals. Or actor network theory, developed by a French philosopher Bruno Latour. Actor network theory. Nowadays, people are talking about how Margaret Archer's and Busker's critical realism can be combined with the issues of actor network theory. Or nowadays, people are talking about Gibbon's structuration theory. And also nowadays, people are talking about strong structuration theory issues. A new dimension being developed by an Essex University academic, strong structuration theory. That means when you have a story, a journalist-like story, you need to explain that event using a social theory. Otherwise, your paper cannot be published in a journal. A mere story will be an empty story without theorizing. Theorizing means using a suitable social theory. So theorizing means mobilizing a suitable theory to explain the story. Then only you can complete your knowledge production. But you are engaging with people. In my case, I am engaging with World Bank people, local government authorities, government ministries, and local communities. My academic paper now needs to be translated into a readable report to be easily read by practitioners with my comments, with my improvements, with my suggestions to improve their practices. That is rule number 8. Report back to them. Get them to react. I go there again. I meet these people in meetings. I organize workshops and seminars with agencies, government agencies, World Bank people, for them to react to my suggestions. That is rule number 9. And finally, to satisfy UK government research agencies, I establish an impact story. In there, I justify how my qualitative case study can make a difference in practice. That is called knowledge engagement. Therefore, as academics, you can produce knowledge dealing with theoretical issues, and at the same time, you can engage with people, which is called knowledge engagement, to make an impact. If you are interested in doing such qualitative case studies in your future PhD, come to Glasgow, meet me over breaks, and we can arrange a scholarship which is very competitive. Good luck with that conversation. Thank you very much.